So this A and S represents the rising light and heat of a new day's sun. And that's why you find it connected to the word Asia. But again, it's also connected to the word Asr, which begins Ain Sod, and then a Ra is also added to complete the word for Asr. But by mere virtue of the fact that it has this Ain Sod, it carries the meaning of Ain Sod or AS in relation to it representing a rising sun or rising light. So that's the connection that we're making for you today. Now you might say, well, how does that connect with this whole idea of Asr? I thought Asr represented time. Yeah, but time calculated in which way? Calculated by the rising and the setting of the sun over how many hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of years that this creation has been in existence. We don't know. But for whatever length of time it is, we know that it was experiencing sunrises and sunsets for all of the duration that it has been here. And that is calculated into just those two letters, Ain and Sod. So let's look at some of the dictionary definitions. This is from Lane's Free Lexicon. So you can actually Google that site and see these for yourself. But let's just look at some other connections in the logic of the letters AS, for simplicity's sake. AS. Now, Aleph, Sin, Ra. Now, those are not the letters for Asr. Asr, remember, is Ain, Sod, Ra. So we'll get to that, okay? But I'm showing you that by mere virtue of the fact that the sounds, forget the letters themselves, the sounds are giving the meaning for the word. So Aleph, Sin, Ra means to make a captive or prisoner. Joint, ligament, frame, vigor, energy. Don't worry about that part for now. The part I want to point your attention to is this whole idea of making something captive or prisoner, because you're going to find that theme running throughout the other words that carry this same A-S sound or A-S sound. So we go down from that word to Aleph, Sod, Ra. And what does it mean? It means to burden, yes, to commit a sin, okay, crime, have responsibility, break a thing. Here we go, confine or debar. You see that? To confine or debar, or to banish, to detain. You see, this is all dealing with prison. To hold in custody. So you can see the rest of the connections in the words that are being used in these descriptions. So we've just come upon another very important finding for the letters AS, as we find them anywhere in the world, but we're talking particularly now about how they are being used in the Quran, and specifically how they are affecting the word that we're examining today, called the Asr. You should know by now that Asr has something to do with the rising sun, and we may even say the rising and the setting of the sun if we're talking about the cycles that the sun makes on a daily basis and an annual basis. But it also has something to do with being captive or being prisoner. All right. Now, if we interchange Aleph with Ain and Sin with Sod or even Kaf, we still get meanings related to detainment. Now, for those of you who might be a little bit lost, this won't be the loss that people are experiencing who are under the punishment of al-Asr. So don't worry about the loss being that kind of loss. This is just the kind of loss. In fact, you haven't lost anything. This is really me opening you up to a world of goodies. And you just don't know where to start. You don't know what to choose from. You have to be taught what things in this particular store are of value to you. So let your eyes do the walking, as they say, and just pay careful attention. If we interchange aleph with ayn, as we have done, and seen with sod, as we did in this section up here, you can even change the S sound with the K sound. How do we know that? Because English tells us so. In English, they have the letter C, but C can be the K sound or the S sound. There's no independent sound for our English letter C. If I give you the word circus, there are two C's in that word, but the first one is pronounced as an S, sir, and the second is pronounced as a K, cuss. Outside of that, there's no independent sound for the letter C. It's kind of like a trick letter in the English language. And it's known all over the world of languages that those two sounds can be interchanged. So if I said ayn, sod, ra, or let's just stick with these two letters since we're dealing with these two, aleph, sod, or aleph, sin. If we said ayn, sod, as we did up here, and if we said ayn, kaf should also be connected to the idea laid down in ayn, sin, or ayn, sod. Why? Because the letter K, here it's called kaf in Arabic, can be interchanged with the letter sod or the letter sin, as long as it has the S sound. And I believe that's easy enough for you to grasp. All right. So that means that, and this is excluding whatever the third radical is, it doesn't matter. If you understand the construction of Arabic, in every language actually, you'll understand that the most importance is put on the base consonantal connections in the word, which are normally two letters that grow to be three letters. They begin as biconsonantal or biliteral or bilateral, whichever you prefer, and they grow to become triconsonantal or trilateral, three-letter roots. So ayn, kaf, we should be able to detect the meaning in these definitions here that are related at least to the idea of detainment or imprisonment. So let's look. Ayn, kaf, fa means to arrange, to set a thing in order. He kept or clave to it constantly and preservingly. Continue intently. They went around something, advance, approach it. Now here we go. Withheld, detain, confined. You see that? And then they go even further than that to say to seclude oneself, remain, stay, dwell. That's what you do if you get locked up, you know. They seclude you. You don't seclude yourself, but they will definitely put you in seclusion. So I'm showing this to you so that your mind will eventually begin to acclimate towards how these meanings for words actually come into existence. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful science. Let's continue. Then we have the word that is formed from the three letters ayn, sin, ra. Then we have the meanings from the letters ayn, sod, ra. You see, both of those are S sounds. That means both of the meanings for these words should have similar connections. So let's see. So ayn, sin, ra means to be difficult, hard, intricate. And ayn, sod, ra means to press, squeeze, wring. And that's all we need to deal with for now. That the difficulty in ayn, sin, ra is seen in a different kind of expression based on the idea of having to press something or to squeeze something or to wring out a rag or to press or squeeze apples or oranges. Because the very action of pressing and squeezing is difficult. So both of these words are used independently in the Quran, but they have related meanings. You might want to call these words kissing cousins. All right. Now, what they're not telling you here is what they have been telling you in these other Ain Sin or Aleph Sin or Ain Sod or Ain Kaf connections. They have been telling you something significant, and that is that somewhere buried within these two letters is the idea of being confined, being imprisoned, being secluded. They don't tell you that when it comes to Ain, Sod, Ra. Not that they are intentionally holding something from you, but they themselves are not understanding the importance of that logic in the explanation of this word. We'll be getting to that in a moment. Now, the phonemes S and R together signify things that have freedom of movement. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying something to you very important tonight, and I want you to pay very careful attention. What I'm saying to you is that we're dealing with one word. That word is awesome, and it has three connected letters: Ain, Sod, Ra. But what I'm saying to you is something, again, that many people who learn the Arabic language don't know. And that is that although this word has three connected letters, it's actually a combination of several strategies that have been built into the language that are really, really beautiful when you understand what has been done. And here is what has been done. If we include the A sound, whether it's Aleph or Ain, doesn't matter. And we include the Sod, and then we include the Ra. Okay, we have our word, Asr. Asr. But what we need to know is that the Ain and Sod words that I introduced to you earlier that had to do with imprisoning a thing were actually strategically connected by some deep-rooted thinkers in the ancient Arabic language system, the ones who constructed the system, the ones who paid meticulous attention to the fitrah, to nature and how nature was operating. They saw the importance of connections in nature. So what they did was they took the AS sound, which already had an independent meaning, and they linked it with the SR sound. So although the word is Asr, it's still giving you meanings based on the AS connection by itself and what that means, and then on the SR connection and what those words mean. Now look at the beauty of this. The AS connection means to imprison a thing, and the SR connection means to free a thing, to give a thing freedom of movement. All right, so let's look at it now. So when we look at this SR connection in Arabic words, for instance, in Sin, Ra, Ain, it means to hasten or to be quick. You see, freedom of movement. When we look at Sin, Ra, Ba, it means to go freely, flow, run, freedom of movement. When we look at Sin, Ra, Fa, it means to exceed the undue bounds or just limits, right? To break out of the confinement, right? And when we look at Sin, Ra, Ha, it means to release or to set free. So I think I've given you enough evidence to make my initial case, or the initial part of my case. So continue to pay attention. And just a couple of additional words with the Sin Ra connection. Sin Ra Ra gives us the word that means to make a secret manifest. That means to let it out in the open, to free the secret so that others will know about it, right? So still the idea of freeing a thing is implicit in these particular combinations of letters, Sin Ra we're discussing. And of course, Sod Ra Tau means trodden without difficulty. That means it's a path that is freely walked. That is this. That's what gives us the word sirat al-mustaqim. Sad ra tal. Sirat. It's a path which is even and it's wide enough so that you have the freedom of movement along that path, and that you can move along that path. How? Without difficulty. You see, still alluding to the idea of freedom of movement. All right. Now let's talk about this pressure that is put on something in order to extract its essence that we spoke about earlier, related to usir and this word asa. Pressure can make some things more precious. You hear the connections in those two words? And I believe they had a movie dealing with a situation related to an African-American female, young female, and they called her Precious. Oh boy, the conspirators know how to put their logic together when they're talking about us, especially. Yeah, she was precious, all right, but she was given a certain set of circumstances that represented undue pressure. So pressure can crush rocks into minute pieces, but it can also create diamonds out of coal. Black coal that most of us don't even like to put our hands on because it leaves a residue. But if you put enough pressure, being in the ground, that coal being in the ground for thousands and millions of years possibly, the compression, the pressure that is put on those particular rocks eventually will produce something as shiny and as refined as what will come to be the diamonds that many of us love. Now, the English letters PRS that we're finding in pressure and even in precious, if you understand the C to be SH and you see the S on the end here. So we're talking about the letters PRS in pressure. Those are the root letters in English for the word pressure. Well, PRS can also be BRS because the P and the B are interchangeable letters in languages where you find the P and the B. Arabic doesn't have a P, so that would end up being either B or F. So I'm saying this to most of you who already know this because you have the Nunetics book and you know about the interchangeability of consonants. You already know that the P is called a labial letter because labial means lip, and any letter that is to be pronounced using any part of the lip or both lips or lip touching the teeth, any of those letters such as P, B, F, V, those are called labials and they can be interchanged. So this labial called P can interchange with this labial called B. And the letter R, as you know, can be interchanged with the letter L. Those are called the liquids, right? Those are letters where your tongue has to touch the top palate within your mouth. The tongue has to go up high to say L, and it has to go up high to say R, and let that tongue just roll off the top palate of your mouth. All right. So PRS, I repeat, can also be BRS, but it can also be BLS because R and L also interchange. And BLS are the letters that form the word Iblis, which all of us who read the Quran are familiar with. Iblis. That is Satan in his diapers. When he was wearing Pampers, he was known as Iblis. And he was wearing Pampers, and sometimes the tape would come loose and all of that mess would just, you know, everywhere he goes, he's stepping in it. If you're chasing him, you got to step in it, and you're chasing him down just so you can change his boo-boo. That's Iblis. Iblis, just a spoiled brat of a child that grew to be a shaitan, or the Satan. So again, the essential letters that form his name are from the letters B, L, and S. Now, going all the way back to what we said in the beginning, in reference to the word pressure, in reference to the word pressure, if the letters PRS are interchangeable with BLS, then I ask the question, could Iblis possibly symbolize a type of pressure that Allah has allowed to be put on us? See, we think of these characters when we read about them as being evil personified. You know, Iblis, he's the evil demon, the evil doer. But Allah allowed him to do what he does. So could it be within Allah's divine wisdom and logic that he allowed this BLS creature who's got a connection to the PRS of pressure, for that pressure to be put on the human type, the human being, in order to bring something precious out of us? Now, buried within the connections of these letters are ideas related to bursting. You see the BRS in bursting. You see the BLS in blasting. And you see the BRS in the ultimate result of all of that, bursting and blasting, the ultimate result being debris. You see the BRS in that debris? Because the debris is the end result of all of that blasting and bursting of things, right? So the influence that Iblis, whatever that means in the Quran, the influence that that particular force or that particular frequency has been having in the human life experience is what we're talking about. It's going to render some things to become debris that will just be swept away with time, but it will also allow for the correct amount of pressure to be put on the human framework that will hopefully produce a true human standing in qiyam, in the upright form, situated upon true human moral standards. That's the diamond that is supposed to be the result of all of that pressure on the human form. But the fact remains that most human beings will simply be swept away as debris. So let us look at why as we continue.